Hi, I'm Aton. Welcome to the Writer's Quill. We're going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to be guest hosting and I'm going to be interviewing Sylvian Athara, who is actually the creator of the Writer's Quill, an artist, creator, writer, and a person who is really, to me, one of the most interesting people I've come across recently. And I think her audience needs to hear more from her, about her, and what she's doing. So that's the concept of this episode. Sylvian, thanks for having me on. And can you start by introducing yourself or reintroducing yourself to your audience or people who might not know you yet?
Yes, thank you for being here, Lion. You're absolutely amazing. I value you, and you have no idea. Thank you for offering to do this. This is absolutely amazing, and it makes me swell in pride and be humble about it. But I'm a simple person. I live in a little bitty town with cows for neighbors, and I just have big dreams, and I have a huge imagination. And I realized that being where I came from and that my life wasn't always easy as I grew up, that you put a lot of things away in your imagination and in your life to make sure that you are living the life that you need to live at that time. But as you get older, and we all do, you're faced with the fact that did I do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it, or do I still have time to make this work and still enjoy some of the things that I really enjoy? So what I've done is I love helping people. It's been a staple in my life all my life, and I that's why I made the podcast because I want to raise voices and lift voices that I don't know that everybody always knows. I know that everybody knows you, Lion, but I don't know that they know the you behind the you. And that's why I do it because even if you're famous, there's still a person beyond the famous, beyond that. That's what I want that's what I want to illuminate. I want people to know that people are truly still people and that they're wonderful.
I love that. I mean, I think that's a perfect reason why we're doing this episode because I felt the same way. I wanted people to know the person behind what you do. So I think that's great. And you said something really interesting. Do you feel like isolation when you're younger or when you're a kid can actually end up giving you some sort of advantage with imagination and creativity? If you maybe are not in an area where everything's going on for you all the time, maybe if you're somewhere more remote, or maybe if you isolate yourself to come up with your ideas or daydream or wonder, have you found that to be a thing that's helped you with imagination?
Yeah, I do believe that that does help a lot. Unfortunately, I don't want to say, and that's not what I'm saying, is that trauma makes and breeds better imaginations. That's not something that I want to put out there. But what I do want to say that if you're dealing with things that are not something that you can control in your life at the time, you have to find ways to make yourself, you have to give your brain ways to, not ways to basically enjoy your space, enjoy your time. And that's when the
Mhm.
imagination comes in. You start building things, you start writing things, you start enjoying different hobbies, things like that that you would never have probably thought about if you were in a different situation.
Right. And you're working on a really big project right now that I thought was very exciting. I just learned about it yesterday. Can you illuminate some of that for the audience? Can you tell them a little bit about it?
Yeah, so above all the other craziness that I have on my plate, the one thing that's going on right now is um, it's called Origin Lore Collective. It's OLC for short. What it is basically it's going to be a database that you can log in and log out of. What I found in when I entered this business is that we all have IP. We all have our imaginations, and our imaginations are beautiful things. Not everybody wants to be a writer, but that doesn't mean everybody can't create, right? So what we would
Wow.
do is let's take you for example. You have the anyone, right? And I'm stuck on anyone, but you have that creature on anyone. Does it have a name, Lion?
No, no. He's just called the Traveler. So no
Okay,
name yet. I
so
want to
the
be
traveler,
mysterious.
right? So you have the traveler. That's good enough. That's perfect for me. So you have the traveler. What you do is you put the traveler on that database, right? If somebody's looking, like a production team or someone like that is looking, they can come in, they can log in, they can look through all these different things. It'll be AI assisted to be able to search for you. That's where Eris 2.0 comes in. Um, and it'll give them the option to see exactly what the specs on the traveler is. And then they can actually, the people that want to use him can actually use him, rent him, or you guys can figure it out. We can figure it out on the back end. Now, I'm not saying everything's all figured out already, but it gives people a way to make money off their IP. Because what people I don't think understand is that you could have, like, I have Ava in my books. I could have Ava working basically for me in my book. Somebody else could be using Ava's likeness in another book with licensing, and then somebody else could be using Ava's likeness. All you're doing is tweaking the character just a slight bit. It doesn't matter.
Wow.
So you can you it's never ending. You have the ability to use your IP. That's your IP. That's your imagination. You've built that. You've made it, and you deserve credit, and you deserve to be paid for your work. The other thing that really gets me is that we can also do the like the entire worlds. People can set up entire worlds. And on OLC, what I'm wanting to do at the end of the day is I want people to be able to do that. They can set up entire worlds where a production company doesn't have to think about anything. They can just come in and go, okay, I want this. This is how I
Mhm.
want it. We can tweak it a little bit. Or if they've worked with that uh their client, the person that's selling enough, they can actually go to them and say, hey, I want you to build this for me. I know what you build. It gives you a reputation. It gives you the ability to actually, for someone to see you as more than just somebody who's just putting out work. They could actually ask to be, you never know where that can go, but people have
Right.
an option. OLC will be highlighting people that are doing well during the month. We'll do an analytics sheet, and we'll put it up, and we'll highlight them in the front of it. This is what they do, and we'll highlight genre. People will get awards for things that they've built, sold, things like that. And at the end
Wow.
of the day, it's tiered as well. So this is even the best part for me is because everybody who starts out somewhere, and not everybody
Mhm.
starts out with money, and that's just the way
Right.
it is. And in this world, not everybody has it. But here's the thing. If you can't afford to put it on OLC right now, we have a tiered approach that the first thing is that if you can't afford it, then what you would do is you would go in, you'd say that, and you go into like and whatever you sell, it go a little bit goes back to OLC, a percentage goes back just to keep it moving, keep it running. Once you start selling,
That's
once you
great.
start making money, you can go ahead and take it off there, unclick that box, you're paying your monthly thing. And it's really economical too. It's not like it's going to be, I'm not going to price gouge anybody, but you have to upkeep the business and things like that. So
Of course. And the more stuff that can go into LLC, the more things you could build for the people on it. So you can make things better and
exactly,
better. So it's a really symbiotic system. And I love
exactly.
this idea of sort of a marketplace for IP for creators. There have
Yes.
been IP that exist and they sort of go off into the big
Hmm.
studios and things like that. And they sort of get out of the hands of the creators. But this
Yes.
idea where the creators can control their own IP, they can have their own marketplace, they can like have
Hmm.
their own like sort of community where they can go, they can post their stuff. It
Yep.
can get seen by people. They can have, develop fans from their world building, not just finished products like books. You said, like, I love how you said that not everybody wants to be a writer, but that doesn't mean everyone can't be creative. So, how do you imagine OLC enabling people to be more creative who might otherwise not have had a chance to maybe write a novel or do something like that when they're just starting out?
Well, I mean, if you think about it prospectively, I sat back and thought about it, and I thought about all the people that have the ability to draw, the ability to write, um, all the ability to make music. By the way, I didn't know that you did. Just putting that out there. Uh, and The people that have the abilities that no one really knows that exist. Um, Kind of like with you and me, you didn't know that this was existing, and it was there. It was there when I talked to you the last time. You don't know what exists, but it doesn't mean that there isn't a place for it in this world. So if
Hmm.
you're someone who writes or draws, for instance, I'm sorry, not writes, but draws, and you have all these beautiful creatures, right? Let's say you draw these beautiful things, and you just don't have anywhere to put it. You just don't. You just keep it in a sketchbook. Why?
Hmm.
Why can't you make money off that?
Right, right. There are tons of writers and directors who are looking for exactly that kind of stuff
Yes,
so that they can have characters and worlds built around.
yes,
No different than when you're filming a movie, you might hire someone to do wardrobe and costuming. They're going to come up with
Exactly.
stuff that you as a director would never imagine. It's a way
Exactly.
to sort of democratize that creativity so that you can access a wider pool of people who have creative ideas, which I think is really genius. And your idea, the OLC, you just sort of announced it, and
Yeah.
instantly you got my attention, you got Elliot Grove's attention from Raindance. People are really responding to it well. Are you surprised by people's sort of immediate response to how good they think the idea is?
I don't know that I'm surprised, but I know that I'm humbled because I seen the need for it, and I've always lived on the premise that if you see a need, fill a need, right?
Mm,
So that's where this is coming from. Now, surprising that it's the surprise of the bigger people, yes, okay, because Substack, we're all a little community. It's not a little community, but to me, it feels a little community-ish.
mhm.
But the fact that when you see big people seeing it and big people noticing and saying, yes, we need that, that's when you go, yeah, that might have been that was a really good idea. It was a really, really
Wow.
good one. And it's something that kind of humbles you even more as a person and a creator, because I create myself. My own creations will be there. Varelia is going to be on there. I actually started a website for it about 4 months ago. And I had Varelia's entire stat line done and everything in there, her picture, everything. It looks so good, so sharp. But
Wow.
I haven't done anything with it because I didn't know if the climate was right. But looking at it now, Gary and I are working together a lot, and seeing where he's going with Fix Stack, which is his baby, which is basically fictional Substack. He took it and he moved it over, and now people actually have a place to just do fiction. Because in
Wow.
Substack, unfortunately, fiction writers kind of get lost in the fray, especially with
Mhm.
the political climate. I'm not going into it at all, but with the
Right.
political climate, there's a lot of things that overshadow fiction writers,
Right.
and that's not for in lack of anyone's. It's not anybody's fault. I love Substack, but it's just the way it works because right now there's a lot more going on than just fictional or fantasy.
Hmm.
So, I told Gary, I said, I've got this would be perfect because you have Fixed Stack. You have these people
Hmm.
that are coming in with all these fictional characters, and then we can just put them over and bring them to OLC. So that means that not only are they making money off their fiction on his Fixed Stack, but then you're also bringing them in, and they have the option to they get they could get a foot into the world that they never even knew existed by just using their intelligence, using
Right.
their creativity that they would have never had, even though they're out here on Substack. And yes, you can publish a book and all that stuff. It's good, but there's another layer, and it never hurts to have one more layer to what you have the option to do.
Right, right. That makes perfect sense. What was the hardest lesson that you've learned over because you've been on this journey, you've been creating like, you're like a lifelong creator. So what was the hardest lesson for you to sort of learn that now you find very valuable?
Oh, well, I have uh, entire world built of dragons and witches and all these wonderful things and legend. Oh my gosh, stutter much. Legacy Chronicles. The problem is it's too big right now, and you
Hmm.
have to understand the climate you're in. The reality is that it's a beautiful, beautiful set. It's a beautiful thing, but you have to understand. You have to reinvent yourself. You have to know what your audience is looking for right now. Yes,
Hmm.
does it have a place in this world? Absolutely, it does. I believe it does because it's got such good things in it, and it's a redemption story. But right now, we're in short land. This is where we are. We're in shorts. We have little time, and we want to make it work. So
Hmm.
right now, I've went into doing short anthropologies. I'm going to publish my first one for Halloween. I'm so excited about that. It's called the Hollow Veil 13 Shades of Fear Halloween Edition, Volume 1. So I'm going to put one out every year, and it'll be great. It's like 13 short stories that are like the Hollow Veil that's on my Substack. It's really awesome. It's just kind of really quick, bite size, 500, 700 words, but still really leaves a feeling in you. I don't know. I just want to I just want people to know what you have to look at the climate.
Right,
That
right.
really
You
is
see
it.
it sort of like seasons, right? If you're
Yes.
planting seeds,
Hmm.
you don't plant every seed in winter, right? There's a
Exactly.
right time to plant the right stuff. And that might be a hard thing for creatives to realize. Like, be creative all the time, but the stuff that you put your focus into putting out in the world,
Hmm.
match that to the season. So I think that's a really brilliant idea. So, along those same lines, that's sort of a lesson that you've had to learn. What's the best investment that you've bought to help your creativity or help your career for under $100? What's your best under $100 investment you've ever bought?
Best under $100 investment I've ever bought. Um, does subscriptions count?
100%, yeah.
Notion. It
Can you
keeps
break
me
down why?
organized.
Right, right. Is organization a thing that came naturally to you? I know for a lot of creatives it doesn't. It didn't come naturally for me. Now I'm very organized, but I had a
Yeah.
hard time getting there. Do you feel the
Yeah.
same way?
Yes, I didn't. I think as creatives, we're not organized. I think that's because that's how our mind works. We see things in a different lens and we see things in a different way. And because of that, I think that we forget that we have to be organized. Like that's huge. And yeah, I'm still working on it, but I've gotten a lot better with Notion, thankfully. Yes.
That's a great one. So, if there's one thing about you that you think might be your superpower that just for some reason you particularly have this thing down, what would you say that is?
I have two things. I have empathy. I can actually I'm very good at picking up. I can pick up signals. I have like an antenna. And it's not always it's always wonderful, but it's sometimes it's not always great at the time.
Hmm.
Which leads way to intuition and things like that. The other thing that I have is I can write. If I sit down and write, I'm one of those people that I can't. I know it's going to sound odd, but there's a lot of people to do it. Um, you write from somewhere else. Like it just flows. You don't know.
Hmm.
It's just there. It's just happening. And then boom, it's done. And you're like, oh, okay. Because it's taken shape and it's something else. And it's coming from another it's coming from somewhere deeper than me, I feel like.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing because I think a lot of times people don't end up getting into positions where they're optimizing for what their best traits or what their best superpowers are. But it
Hmm.
seems like doing a podcast, obviously, empathy is going to be extremely valuable in that, right? I feel like I connected with you immediately. And I'm sure a lot of your guests feel the exact same way, and your audience also feels the same way. But the same with writing, empathy helps greatly with writing because you can understand what it's like to be these characters in a world that's not our own. And you
Hmm.
can help the audience understand that. So you can keep those things in mind. But also your ability to write, obviously being a writer and world builder, if you can get lost and get in the flow state and write away, then that's going to be hugely advantageous. What would your advice be to other creators who aren't taking advantage of their superpowers? How can they figure out what that might be for them and then design their life and what they're doing around that?
The best thing that I can tell anyone to do to try to figure out what is their superpower, because everyone has one, and I truly believe that, or two or three, depending on who they are, is to listen to yourself. Pay attention to you because you know you, not everybody else, not the noise in the world, not everything outside of you, you, because you know what you're good at. I'm not, I'm not I'm not like a guru or anything, but I can tell you that it took me a long time to figure this out. And once I figured it out, everything moved a lot better in my life. The gears didn't feel like they were clogged anymore. They weren't sticking and they weren't not going. Now that I figured out what I am, who I am, and listen to me, I move freer now. I feel lighter. I don't feel like I'm pushing against the wind anymore. I feel the wind like the wind's at my back. And that is a difference that it's between night and day. It's amazing.
Wow, that's amazing. So, if you had to explain your three biggest inspirations, because you have the wind at your back and you're obviously very creative, what are some of those inspirations that really pulled you forward? Just three of the biggest ones. They could be characters, they could be real people, they could be works of art, movies, books. What are things that you just can't live without or really just had a huge impact on you?
My family is the first thing. That's my family. Um, God, secondly. I mean, that's who pulled me through every minute I needed him, when I thought I was alone, that's who had me. And literature and music. So art in general, those three.
Hmm.
Now, if I was to take it down to who in the artistry world, I would say Maya Angelou, Stephen King, um, music wise, Tupac. I mean, you got them all. Lincoln Park. Um, when Chester Bennington was alive, I refuse to even
Hmm.
comment on anything else because Lincoln Park is Lincoln Park with Chester Bennington.
Right,
But
right.
I'm a diehard Chester fan. But like just things like because even music is literature. It's just made to music. It's made to notes. You're writing
Wow.
it. You're writing it, but it's still literature at the end of the day. It's still prose. It's just how you're saying it. So
Wow.
realistically, I'm really been an artistry person all my life. I just didn't realize the extent of it until I finally started listening to me.
Wow, that's mind blowing. I've never considered the idea that music is literature. That it makes
Very.
so much sense now that you say it, but it's never crossed my mind. So, with all those inspirations, obviously, it seems like you have a very eclectic taste and you don't really limit yourself in the kinds of things that you explore. Do you think there's a big advantage to having a higher openness for artists that maybe a lot of artists don't really realize?
Yeah, I think that being able to see things that other people may not see right away is a huge benefit to me. Just because I like to first of all, I like to see the great in anything. It doesn't matter. I mean, as long as what you're doing is great. That's I want to see the great in you. It doesn't have to be perfectly great. It just be great. You're great, whatever your great is. So I look for with this monumental change coming in, I look at it like things are going to change here soon. I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there. There'll be a publishing company coming, and under Aether and Quill Archives. So, I mean, there's a ton of things that are coming out um, that give people the option because I believe in everyone having a voice. So, what can we do to get you a voice? I mean, there's going to be times when I'm like, okay, well, we can't do this or we can't do that, but have you thought about doing this? Like, there's podcasts. Let's do that. Let's do some of your shorts on podcasts. Let's do something like this. Let's do something like that. And let's write some. Let's throw some in, in the ring for some awards. I'm about to be published on um, Emerald City Ghosts. They're publishing one of my shorts for the Hollow Veil, and then I'm going to be on the Rain Dance website on October 20th, raindance.org, for my work. And that is never anything I would have ever expected to happen. And that is something that I really wish that everyone would see. And that's how I try to raise my children, that just because you don't see it happening doesn't mean it can't. Keep pushing, keep
Right.
doing, keep being great because your greatness will come. People will see it. It will be seen. I would have never thought in a million years I would be talking to you today and you would be interviewing me. And I am so beyond grateful. The point is that you just don't stop because it gets hard. That's when you go harder.
Right. 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 That's brilliant. Since you've been going hard and you like right now have a lot of great things that you're working on, I kind of was going to ask, what are some things that you're really excited about that are coming up or that you've been working on lately? You mentioned a lot of them. Is there anything else you're really excited about that either you're working on or that's coming out that you're paying attention to that you think might sort of change the trajectory of what you're doing?
I I'm just excited for the future. I'm not putting anything in a box because there's no there's no limit to what could happen. I really want to work with you on something so bad. I don't know what it is, but just because I value you. I see the value in you as a person and I see how amazingly gifted you are. And I watch your work and I'm just looking at it and like I told you yesterday, my son's seen your javelin too, or and I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm watching it, and I'm just like, and I'm in awe of it already. And he looks over my shoulder and he goes, "Mom," I said, "Yes." "What is that?" I said, "That's lion." And he goes, "That's amazing." And I said, "I know, isn't he though?" And the reality is that I don't want to limit myself to anything because I feel like there is so much out there and such a world of possibilities to go for. So, I mean, we have Fixed Stack Gary's, which I'm working with him. I'm the social moderator on that right now. Uh, I have OLC that I'm working hard to get that document out because just like anybody else, we all mess up. I messed it up the first time, so I just resent it out. And there's a publishing situation that could possibly be coming up soon. That I'm looking at. So that is an exciting thing.
That is so exciting. And you're far too kind. Honestly, I love talking to you. Feel like there's so many more layers to the things that you're doing and so many more things to discover. But to end it off, I always want to know what's one thing you can leave everyone with. If you had to just get one thing across to people that you feel like could help them, what would it be?
Don't ever give up. Don't ever think that it's too late. Everything, everything has its time. You just haven't made it there yet. Keep going.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. And I'm really honored that you invited me on to guest host you today and to interview you. I think there's so many more things people are going to find amazing about you. So if your audience is interested in doing one of these again in the future, I'd love to be back on to interview you more. And I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Lion. Thank you so much for being with me, for asking me these questions. And I mean, the reality is that you don't get a lot of, great people that you really vibe with right off the bat. And you're just one of those amazing humans that I really appreciate so much. Like, really, truly, thank you.
I feel the same way. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks so much.